She did this to her mechanic just to get back at her ex and discovered something terrible. Jessica Thompson gripped the steering wheel so tightly, her fingers turned white. The divorce had been finalized just 3 months ago, but the humiliation still burned like hot coals in her chest. Michael hadn't just cheated on her with his secretary. He told all their mutual friends she was cold, calculating, incapable of real love. Now she stood there at the gas station, her Lexus with the hood open, staring at Robert Miller, her ex-husband's best friend and owner of the most reputable auto shop in Portland. "Your car has a serious issue with the cooling system, Jessica," Robert said, wiping his grease-stained hands on a rag. "It'll take about 2 days to get the part." She adjusted the neckline of the red dress she'd carefully chosen that morning. The plan was simple. Seduce Robert, make Michael taste his own medicine. If he thought she was cold, she'd prove him wrong with his best friend. 2 days? She stepped closer, her expensive perfume filling the space between them. "Can't it be any faster? I really need the car." Robert looked away, clearly uncomfortable. Jessica knew this type of man. Hard-working, honest, too loyal for his own good. It would be a challenge, but that made the revenge even sweeter. "I can try to get it by tomorrow, but no promises." "You've always been so helpful, Robert. Michael was lucky to have a friend like you." The mention of her ex-husband made the mechanic frown. Jessica noticed the reaction and filed it away. There was something there, a crack in the friendship she could exploit. "I'll call you a cab," he said, already stepping back. Actually, she bit her lower lip, a practiced gesture. "Could you give me a ride? I live nearby, and cabs take forever in this area." Robert hesitated. Jessica could see the conflict in his brown eyes, loyalty to Michael battling against his natural politeness. "All right, just let me tell Steve to watch the shop." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. While she waited, Jessica studied the shop. It was organized, clean by auto shop standards. Vintage car photos decorated the walls, along with a few certificates and a faded picture of a boy next to an older man, both smiling in front of a blue Beetle. Robert returned wearing a clean shirt, his hair combed back, even trying to look presentable. Traces of grease still clung to his calloused hands. Jessica found it strangely attractive, so different from Michael's manicured hands. The drive to her apartment was quiet at first. Jessica studied the mechanic's profile as he drove his pickup. There was a seriousness in his face she hadn't noticed before, in the few times they'd met at barbecues and parties. "How are you?" he asked suddenly. "After everything, I mean." The question caught her off guard. She'd prepared flirtatious comebacks, subtle hints, but not genuine concern. "Surviving," she answered, and for the first time in months, she was honest. "Michael's an idiot." The words slipped out before Robert could stop them. "Sorry, I shouldn't." "No, it's fine. It's good to hear someone say that. All our friends took his side." "Not all," Robert murmured, but Jessica heard it. When they arrived at her building, Jessica made her move. "Want to come up for coffee? It's the least I can do after the ride." "Jessica." "Just coffee, Robert. I promise I won't attack." "You," she laughed, trying to sound casual. He gave in just as she knew he would. Men like Robert were too polite to refuse an apparently innocent invitation. The apartment still had empty spaces where Michael's furniture used to be. Jessica noticed Robert eyeing the blank walls, the half-empty shelves. "He took more than he should have," she explained, walking to the kitchen. "But I didn't fight it. I just wanted it to be over." She prepared the coffee in silence, but her hands trembled slightly. The plan had seemed so simple in her head, but now, with Robert standing in her living room, everything felt wrong. "You don't have to do this." His voice surprised her. He was leaning against the kitchen doorframe. "Do what?" "Whatever you're planning. I've known you for 5 years, Jessica. I can tell when you're up to something." She laughed, a bitter sound. "That obvious? Only to those paying attention. And were you paying attention to me?" She turned, staring at him. Robert didn't answer right away. There was something in his eyes Jessica couldn't decipher. "Did Michael tell you what he's been saying about me?" she continued, anger rising. "That I'm cold, calculating, that our marriage failed because of me? He says a lot of things, but you believe him. You're his best friend." "Was?" The word hung in the air between them. Jessica felt her heart race. "Was?" Robert rubbed his face, suddenly looking tired. "It's complicated. Look, the coffee—" "Forget the coffee." Jessica stepped closer. "What happened between you two? Nothing that matters now. Robert, please." He held her gaze for a long moment, then sighed. "I found out some things about Michael that changed my perspective about a lot of things." "What things?" "Jessica, I don't think he cheated on me, humiliated me, spread lies about me. I think I have a right to know." The mechanic walked to the window, watching the street below. Jessica waited, the silence stretching uncomfortably. 3 months ago, right after you split up, Michael showed up at the shop. He was drunk, rambling. I let him sleep in the office and went home. The next morning, when I came back early, I found him on my computer. Jessica felt a chill in her stomach, though she didn't know why. He was deleting emails, conversations we'd had years ago. He tried to make excuses, but I'd seen enough. "Emails about what?" Robert turned, pain in his eyes. "About you, about things he did that I should have stopped." "I don't understand." "Remember when you lost that promotion at work? About 2 years ago?" Jessica nodded, confused by the shift in topic. It had been a hard blow to her career, losing the director position to someone less qualified. "Michael knew the company owner, made sure you didn't get the job." "What?" Her legs felt weak. "But he comforted me, said it was company politics. He didn't want you earning more than him, said it plainly in the email. And that wasn't all." Jessica sank onto the couch, her mind reeling. Robert stepped closer but kept his distance, as if afraid she might shatter. "That trip to Europe you cancelled? He said his company cut vacation time." "A lie," Jessica finished, her voice flat. "He went. With someone else." The tears came without warning. Not tears of sadness, but pure anger. Years of manipulation, unraveling before her like a rotten thread. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I was a coward," Robert admitted. "And because I thought it wasn't my place. Michael and I had been friends since childhood. I didn't want to believe he was capable of this." "But you knew." "I suspected. But knowing and having proof are different. When I found the emails, I confronted him, told him I'd tell you everything." "And?" He laughed, said you'd never believe me. That he had already planted the idea that I was selfish, that I'd always been in love with you, and would take advantage of the separation to get closer. Jessica lifted her head abruptly, the puzzle pieces falling into place. Michael had really hinted at it a few times, so subtly she hadn't even noticed. "Are you?" "What?" "In love with me?" Robert looked away. "That doesn't matter." "It matters to me." He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture Jessica found incredibly human. "Since the day Michael introduced you. But I'd never do anything. You were married, you were happy. Or at least I thought you were. So all these years, I kept my distance. Only showed up when it was unavoidable. I tried to move on, dated other people, but I always knew you were special." Jessica stood up, her legs still shaky. All her anger, her revenge plan, seemed childish now. She had gone there to use Robert, to hurt Michael, but she'd discovered she was already part of a much more complicated game. "I need air," she murmured, walking to the balcony. Robert followed, keeping a respectful distance. The city stretched before them, the sun beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange. "What else did you find out?" she asked, not looking at him. "A lot. Manipulations, lies, mind games. Michael is not who I thought he was. And why are you telling me this now?" "Because you showed up at the shop today in that red dress with that determined look, and I knew exactly what you were planning." Jessica blushed but didn't deny it. "You were going to use me to get to him," Robert continued, "and part of me wanted to let you, because at least then I'd have something, even if it was a lie. Robert, but you deserve the truth. You deserve to know you're not cold or calculating or any of the things he says. You're an amazing woman who was systematically broken down by someone who should have protected you. The tears returned, but this time Jessica didn't try to hold them back. Years of self-doubt, questioning every reaction, every feeling, were finally making sense. You know the worst part? She said between sobs. Part of me still loves him, or loves who I thought he was. That's normal. The heart takes longer to understand than the head. They stood in silence, watching the city. Jessica tried to process everything, but it was too much. She felt like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. What do I do now? She asked, more to herself than to Robert. You live, without the chains he put on you. You find out who the real Jessica is, not the version Michael created. Easier said than done. I know, but you don't have to do it alone. She finally looked at him. Robert Miller, the mechanic with calloused hands and a heart apparently too big for his own good. Why are you doing this? You could have just fixed my car and sent me away. Because I've stayed silent too long. And because you deserve someone on your side, even if it's just as a friend. Michael will be furious when he finds out you told me everything. Let him be. I owe him nothing. Jessica went back inside, Robert following. She walked to the kitchen and finally poured the coffee she'd made. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. I need to see those emails, she said, handing him a cup. I have copies. But Jessica, they're hard to read. I can imagine, but I need to see them. I need to understand the full picture. Robert nodded. I can bring them tomorrow when I pick up your car. My car? She'd almost forgotten. Is it really broken? Yes, but not as bad as I said. I can fix it today if you want. You lied to me. But there was no accusation in her voice, just surprise. I exaggerated the problem a little. Thought you needed time to figure out what to do. I'm sorry. Jessica laughed, a genuine sound that surprised her. I don't apologize. I think that was the kindest lie anyone's ever told me. They drank their coffee in comfortable silence. Jessica realized that for the first time in years, she didn't feel the need to fill the quiet with conversation. It was strange to feel so at ease with someone she barely knew, or perhaps she knew him more than she thought. Robert, that photo in the shop, the boy with the older man. My dad, he confirmed. He died when I was 15, taught me everything, about cars, about honest work. He'd be proud of you. I hope so. Sometimes I wonder what he'd say about all this, about me staying silent for so long. You're doing the right thing now. That's what matters. Robert's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and frowned. It's Steve from the shop, excuse me. While he took the call, Jessica walked to the hallway mirror. The red dress she'd chosen so carefully now looked ridiculous, a femme fatale costume that didn't match who she really was. Trouble at the shop, Robert said when he returned. An important client showed up unannounced. I need to go. Of course, thank you for everything. Jessica, about your car. I can have Steve drop it off when it's ready if you prefer. She understood what he was offering. An out, a way to avoid seeing each other again if she wanted. No, I'll come, pick it up. And to check the emails, are you sure? No, but I need to do this. Robert nodded and headed to the door. He paused before leaving. Jessica, I know it's not the right time and maybe there never will be one, but if you need to talk, vent, or just have coffee with no strings attached, you can reach out. Thank you, Robert, really. After he left, Jessica stood in the middle of the room for long minutes. Then, as if snapping out of a trance, she went to the bedroom and took off the red dress. She put on jeans and a simple t-shirt, tied her hair in a ponytail. The reflection in the mirror was different. Not the seductive woman she'd planned to be, nor the perfect wife she'd tried to be for years. Just Jessica. And maybe, for the first time in a long while, that was enough. The phone rang. It was Michael. She looked at the screen, his name flashing insistently. She let it ring until it went to voicemail. Night fell over Portland. Jessica made a simple sandwich, opened a bottle of wine, and settled on the couch. Tomorrow she'd check the emails, face the full truth about her marriage. Tomorrow she'd decide what to do with all that information. But tonight, for the first time in months, she allowed herself to just exist. No revenge plans, no masks, no games. And she realized that, despite everything, she still knew how to breathe. The phone rang again. This time it was a message from Robert. "Forgot to mention, your car will be ready tomorrow at 10, and Jessica, you're nothing like he said. Never were." She smiled, a small but real smile. Tomorrow would be another day. And for the first time in a long time, that didn't scare her. The next morning, Jessica woke to sunlight streaming through the window. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, phone still in hand. More messages from Michael filled the screen. First, angry, then worried, finally threatening. "I know you were with Robert yesterday. Be careful what he tells you. The man's obsessed with you." She deleted them all without replying. She took a long shower, chose comfortable clothes, and went out for breakfast at a nearby bakery. It felt strange to do simple things without worrying about Michael's opinion. At 9:45, she stood outside Robert's shop. She took a deep breath before entering. The place was busy, 3 mechanics working on different cars. Robert was under a Toyota Corolla, only his legs visible. "Good morning," she called. He slid out, a grease smudge on his cheek. When he saw her, an involuntary smile appeared on his face. "Jessica, you're early." Old habit, Michael hated tardiness. His smile faded. "You don't have to live by his standards anymore." "I know, but it takes time to unlearn 5 years of habits." Robert stood up, wiping his hands. "Your car's ready, and I brought the documents I promised." They walked to the office, a small but organized space at the back of the garage. Robert opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. "I printed everything. 3 years of conversations. I didn't read all of them, but brace yourself." Jessica took the folder with hands that wanted to tremble. It was heavy, full of papers. Why did he keep all this? Michael was always meticulous. He liked having control, proof, power over people. Ironically, it backfired on him. She flipped through the first few pages. Her name appeared constantly, always in demeaning contexts. "Jessica can't know. I need to keep Jessica under control. If she finds out about Jennifer..." "Jennifer?" she asked, the name unfamiliar. Robert looked away. "The first one. There were others." Jessica felt the world spin. She closed the folder abruptly. "How many?" "At least 4 that I know of. Jennifer was 3 years ago. Then there was Amanda, the personal trainer, Rachel from accounting, and finally Ashley, the secretary." "Did everyone know?" Her voice was small. "Not everyone. He was careful, but some suspected. And no one told me." "Jessica." "No!" she exploded. "Didn't anyone think I deserved to know? That I had the right to decide about my own life?" Robert didn't try to defend himself. He just waited for the storm to pass. "I'm sorry," she murmured after a moment. "It's not fair to take it out on you." "Take it out however you want. Save the anger for who deserves it." Jessica hugged the folder to her chest. "I'll need time to process all this. Of course, your car's out there, keys in the ignition." She stood to leave, but stopped at the door. "Robert, why did you never marry?" The question caught him off guard. "How do you know I didn't?" "Michael mentioned it. Said you were married to the garage." Robert laughed humorlessly. Another half-truth from him. "I almost got married about 6 years ago, but I called off the engagement." "Why?" "Because it wasn't fair to Sarah. She deserved someone who loved her completely, not someone who, well, who loved someone else," Jessica finished. "Yeah." They stared at each other for a long moment. There was so much unsaid between them. It was almost tangible. "I have to go," she said finally. "Jessica, if you need to talk after reading, any time." She nodded and left. She drove to Waterfront Park and parked under a large tree. Opening the folder, she began to read. Each page was a punch to the gut. Michael dissected their marriage with the coldness of a scientist studying an experiment. He calculated how long it would take to undermine her self-esteem, planned subtle gaslighting, celebrated every small psychological victory. Robert is getting too close. I need to plant the idea that he's after something. Jay is naive enough to believe it. Got Jay to give up her masters, said it'd be too much with marriage, she didn't even question it. Jennifer's getting demanding, but Jay will never find out. She's too busy doubting herself. Tears blurred the words, but Jessica kept reading. She needed to know everything, no matter how much it hurt. Hours passed. The sun rose high in the sky. People walked through the park, living their normal lives while hers crumbled and rebuilt itself word by word. Then she found the email that would change everything. Robert's asking too many questions. I think he knows about Amanda. I need leverage to guarantee his silence. Remembered that story from when we were teenagers. Maybe it's time to use it. The next email was from Robert to Michael, dated 2 years ago. I don't care what you know or think you know. That was 20 years ago. I've changed. But if you try to use this against me, I'll tell Jessica everything. And Michael's reply, you have no proof of anything. And even if you did, who would she believe? Her husband or the lovesick mechanic? Stay in your lane, Rob, or I'll find out if your conservative clientele would like to know about your little past. Jessica reread it several times, trying to understand. What secret did Michael have about Robert? What happened 20 years ago? She grabbed her phone and called Robert. I need to talk to you now. What happened? Are you okay? I found something in the emails about you, about something that happened 20 years ago. Silence on the other end. Where are you? At Waterfront Park near the lake. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Jessica put the papers away and watched the ducks on the lake. Her whole life had been a lie, but now at least she had the truth, no matter how ugly it was. Robert arrived in less than 10 minutes, still in his work clothes. He sat beside her on the bench, keeping a respectful distance. What exactly did you read? She showed him the emails. She saw his face pale as he read. Jessica, I can explain. You don't have to. I don't care what happened 20 years ago. We all have pasts. But you have the right to know since Michael used it as a weapon. Jessica turned to face him. Just tell me one thing. Whatever it is, have you changed? Are you different now? Completely. I was a lost teenager, making stupid choices. That doesn't define who I am today. Then it doesn't matter. What matters is that Michael used it to control you, to stop you from protecting me. Robert looked both relieved and devastated. I still think you should know. When you're ready to tell me, I'll listen. But not because Michael demands it or because you feel obligated. Only if and when you trust me enough. He nodded, too emotional to speak. Now, Jessica continued, I need to decide what to do with all this. I have proof of the affairs, the manipulations. I could destroy his reputation. Is that what you want to do? Yes, today, I don't know. It feels so petty, so much like something he would do. You're not him, Jessica. You never were. They sat in silence, watching a family feed the ducks. A father, mother, and 2 children laughing. The simple, honest life she had always wanted. You know what's ironic? She said. I came to you yesterday for revenge, to seduce his best friend and rub it in Michael's face. I know. But you already knew. It was obvious. You're not as good an actress as you think, he smiled slightly. And yet you told me the truth. You could have taken advantage. I'd never do that, not with you. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now continuing. Jessica felt something stir in her chest. It wasn't attraction. That had always been there, she realized now. It was something deeper. Respect, trust. Things she'd never had with Michael. I have a proposal, she said suddenly. What? Let's forget about Michael for today. No revenge, no plans, no talking about him. Just let's have lunch, like 2 friends getting to know each other for the first time. Robert looked surprised, then hopeful. I know a great Japanese restaurant downtown. I hate Japanese food, she admitted, but I always pretended to like it because Michael loved it. Then you choose. What do you really like? To eat? Jessica thought. It was a simple question, but she realized she didn't know the answer. 5 years shaping her tastes around someone else's. Home-cooked food, she said finally. Rice, beans, steak, salad, simple. I know the perfect place. They went in her car, Robert driving. The restaurant was small, family-owned, with checkered tablecloths and the smell of real home cooking. I've been coming here since I was a kid, Robert explained. Mama Betty cooks like no one else. A robust woman greeted them with a huge smile. Robert, it's been so long, and you've brought a pretty lady this time. Betty, this is Jessica. Jessica, the best cook in Portland. Flatterer, Betty said, but her smile widened. Sit over there in the corner. I'll bring you the daily special. The food was exactly what Jessica needed. Simple, honest, comforting. As they ate, they talked about ordinary things. Movies, books, dream vacations. I've always wanted to see the Grand Canyon, Robert confessed. The driest desert in the world. Must be incredible to see the stars from there. Why haven't you gone? First, I didn't have the money. Then, when the shop started making a profit, I didn't have the time. And then, well, I didn't want to go alone. I get that. Michael hated traveling, said it was a waste of money. You're doing it again, Robert pointed out gently. Doing what? Defining yourself by what Michael liked or didn't like. Jessica paused with her fork halfway to her mouth. Wow, you're right, it's a hard habit to break. So let's try again. Where does Jessica want to travel? She thought, this time for real. Greece. I've always dreamed of watching the sunset in Hawaii. Why? I read a book as a teenager. The main character ran away there after a heartbreak. She rebuilt her life watching the Pacific Ocean every day. It seemed freeing. It does. Maybe you should go. Maybe I should, she agreed. And for the first time, the idea felt possible. After lunch, they walked through downtown. Robert showed her places she'd never noticed. A hidden bookstore, a cafe that roasted its own beans, a record shop that still sold vinyl. How do you know all these spots? I grew up here and, well, I had a lot of free time in recent years. Because of me, she said, not a question. Don't blame yourself for my choices, Jessica. Everyone's responsible for their own life. They stopped in front of an old ice cream parlor. Best ice cream in town, Robert declared. Flavor? Chocolate, she answered without hesitation. Always chocolate. Didn't Michael hate chocolate? Despised it. Said it was too sweet, she laughed. I think I'll spend the next few months doing everything he hated. There are worse ways to heal. They sat on a bench in Waterfront Park, eating ice cream like two teenagers. Jessica realized she hadn't felt this light in years, free from the constant weight of judgment. Robert, about that secret. Jessica, you don't have to. No, I want to know. Not because Michael threatened you, but because I want to know you. All of you. Robert stared at his melting ice cream. When I was 17, I got mixed up with the wrong crowd, started stealing cars. Jessica couldn't hide her surprise. I know, hard to believe now. But my dad had just died, my mum was sick, we needed money. Met some guys who paid well for stolen cars. What happened? Then I got caught. Spent 6 months in juvenile detention center. It was enough to change my life. When I got out, I swore I'd become someone my dad would be proud of. Opened the shop, built an honest reputation. And Michael knew. We were childhood friends. He promised never to tell. It became our secret. I just never thought he'd use it against me one day. Jessica lightly touched his hand. Thank you for trusting me. You're not disgusted? Scared? By the 17-year-old boy who made desperate choices? No, by the man you've become. Impossible. Robert laced his fingers with hers. It was a simple gesture, but Jessica felt something fundamental shift. This is a bad idea, she said, but didn't let go. Probably. I just got out of a destructive marriage. I'm not ready for anything. I know. And you waited 5 years. It's not fair to make you wait any longer. Jessica, he turned to face her. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just here. As a friend, if that's what you need. As something more if you ever want. Or as nothing if you prefer. It's your choice. And if I never decide, then I'll keep fixing cars and living my life. I'm just happy you know the truth now. About everything. Jessica's phone rang. Michael again. She went to decline, but Robert gently held her wrist. Answer it. Hide what you know. See what he wants. Jessica took a deep breath and answered. Where the hell are you? Michael's voice was furious. I've been in front of your building for hours. I left, I had things to do. With Robert, I saw you together downtown. What do you think you're doing? Having lunch with a friend. Is there something wrong with that? You know exactly what's wrong. That man is obsessed with you, always has been. He's taking advantage of the situation. Jessica looked at Robert, who listened with a neutral expression. Michael, we're divorced. Who I have lunch with is none of your business anymore. Don't be naive, Jessica. Do you think he cares about you? He just wants what he's always wanted, to get into your pants and get back at me. Enough. I won't listen to this anymore. Wait, we need to talk about the division of assets. My lawyer said you're entitled to half of everything, but we can negotiate. Have your lawyer talk to mine. Goodbye, Michael. She hung up before he could respond. Her hands shook with anger. He's scared, Robert observed. He must have realized you could find something out. Let him. I don't care anymore. But it was a lie. She did care. 5 years didn't disappear in a day. I need to go home, she said suddenly, to process all this. Of course, I'll call a taxi. No, take me back to the shop. We'll get my car, remember? The ride back was silent. When they arrived at the shop, Robert got out to open the gate. Jessica, about the emails, would keep them safe. You might need them as evidence. I will, and Robert, thank you, for today, for everything. Any time you need. She drove home thinking about everything she'd discovered. The apartment felt different now, as if the ghosts of Michael had been exorcised. She took a long shower, put on comfortable pajamas and poured herself a glass of wine. She grabbed her laptop and opened a new document. Things Jessica likes, she began typing. 1. Chocolate. 2. Home-cooked meals. 3. Comedy movies, not historical. Dramas. 4. The color blue, not red. 5. The beach, not the mountains. 6. American music, not jazz. The list grew. Each item was a small rebellion, a reclaiming of herself. The intercom buzzed. She answered cautiously. Mrs. Jessica, there's a delivery for you. She went downstairs suspiciously. The doorman handed her a small package. There was no sender, but she recognized the handwriting on the card. For new discoveries are. Inside was a bar of the finest Swiss chocolate. Jessica smiled, tears threatening to fall again, but they were different tears now. She went back up and put the chocolate in the fridge. Tomorrow, she'd decide what to do about Michael, the evidence, everything. But today, just today, she let herself dream of Hawaii and starry deserts. Her phone vibrated. A message from Robert. Forgot to ask. How's your list coming along? She took a photo of the laptop screen and sent it. Impressive, but you missed one thing. What? 7. Jessica likes being herself. She typed the 7th line with trembling fingers. It was true. For the first time in years, she liked being simply Jessica. Good night, Robert. Good night, Jessica. Sleep well? She lay in bed, hugging her pillow. Tomorrow would be another day, full of tough decisions and unavoidable confrontations. But today had been good. Today had been hers. She woke in the middle of the night to her phone buzzing insistently. Dozens of missed calls and messages, all from Michael. We need to talk. I know you're awake. Don't do something you'll regret. Jessica, please. We can work this out between us. No need to involve lawyers. Think about what we had. The last message made her stop. I know you've been snooping through my old emails. Be careful with what you think you found. How did he know Robert had said they were copies, that Michael had deleted the originals? Unless... She called Robert, not caring about the time. Jessica, what's wrong? Michael knows. About the emails. How is that possible? I don't know. I'm sure he doesn't know about the copies unless... Wait. Did you log into your email today? Yes, to check messages from the lawyer. He might still have access. Did you... To share passwords? Jessica felt her blood run cold. Of course they had. Michael had insisted on it. Couples shouldn't have secrets. I need to change everything. Now. I'm coming over. Robert, no. It's 3 in the morning. So what? I'm not letting you handle this alone. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Jessica started changing passwords frantically. Email, bank, social media. How had she been so naive? Robert arrived in 12 minutes, with 2 cups of coffee and a laptop. Brought reinforcements, he said, raising the coffee. It's going to be a long night. They worked together, checking every account, every login. Robert had computer skills that surprised her. Where did you learn all this? Online courses. The shop is more high-tech than it seems these days. By 5 in the morning, they had secured everything. Michael wouldn't have access to any of her accounts anymore. Done, Robert stretched. Digital fortress complete. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to. That's what friends are for. Friends. The word stung a little, but Jessica knew it was the right thing. For now. Want to crash on the couch? It's too late to drive. I have to open the shop in 2 hours. But thanks. After he left, Jessica tried to sleep, but it wouldn't come. By 7, she gave up and got up. She showered, dressed for battle, a grey pantsuit that meant business, and called her lawyer. Mr. Johnson, I need to see you today. It's urgent. By 9, she was in the law office, the folder of emails on the desk. This changes everything, the lawyer said after reviewing the evidence. Proven adultery, psychological manipulation. We can ask for much more than half. I don't want more. I just want what's fair and never to see Michael again. Mrs. Jessica, with all due respect, he hurt you deeply. You deserve compensation. What I deserve is peace. Make a fair offer. If he accepts, great. If not, use the emails. Mr. Johnson nodded, though he clearly thought she was being too generous. Leaving the office, Jessica felt lighter. She was taking control, making choices. Her choices. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Jessica. It's Jennifer. The name sent a chill through her, the first mistress. What do you want? To meet you. We need to talk. About Michael. We have nothing to talk about. We do. You weren't the only one he destroyed. Please. 1 hour somewhere public. I have things you need to know. Jessica hesitated. Part of her wanted to hang up, forget, but curiosity won. Coffee at Pioneer Mall, noon. Thank you, you won't regret it. Jessica highly doubted that. She called Robert. I'm meeting Jennifer. Are you sure that's a good idea? No, but I need to hear what she has to say. Want me to come with you? No, this I need to do alone, but can you be on standby just in case? Always. At noon sharp, Jessica was seated at the cafe watching the crowd. She recognized Jennifer immediately, the blonde woman, from the photos she'd found on Michael's phone years ago, but she looked different, thinner with deep circles under her eyes. Thank you for coming. Jennifer sat down, nervous. What do you want? First, to apologize. I know it doesn't mean anything, but you're right, it doesn't. You knew he was married. I did, and I have no excuses, but I paid dearly, believe me. What do you mean? Jennifer took a deep breath. Michael isn't just manipulative with his wives. He's like that with everyone. He promised he'd get a divorce, that he'd be with me. Fool that I was, I believed him. And I got pregnant. Jessica felt the air leave her lungs. He has a child. No, he convinced me to not keep it, said it would ruin our plans, paid for everything, was sweet. Done till the next day when he vanished. I later found out he was already with Amanda. My God. I tried to move on, to keep going, but he had taken intimate photos, threatened to leak them if I told you anything. Jessica felt nauseated. Why are you telling me now? Because I heard you divorced and because I ran into Amanda yesterday. She went through the same thing. And Rachel too. He has a pattern, Jessica. Seduces, destroys, discards. Do you have proof? Jennifer pulled out her phone, showing messages, bank transfers, veiled threats. Amanda and Rachel have more. We're thinking of going to the police, but we're scared. Michael has connections, money, and the photos. Jessica made a decision. Give me their contact info. We'll meet, all of us, and I'll have my lawyer reach out. Together, we're stronger than him. Jennifer began to cry. I ruined your life. Why are you helping me? Because you're a victim too, and because enough is enough, Michael won't destroy anyone else. They talked for another hour. Sordid details, sick patterns. Jessica recorded everything with Jennifer's permission. Leaving the mall, she called Robert. "I need to see you. I found out terrible things." "The shop?" "No. Your place, if you don't mind." "Of course not. I'll send you the address." Robert's house was exactly as she'd imagined. Simple, clean, cozy. A personal workshop in the garage, a well-kept garden. "This looks serious," he said when he saw her face. Jessica told him everything. About Jennifer, the others, the photos, the threats. Robert grew paler by the minute. "I'll kill him." "No, we'll do this the right way, through the law, but I need your help." "Anything." "Information. You've known Michael for years. You must know more dirt." Robert went to a shelf, pulled out a box. "After I found out about the affairs, I started collecting things. Didn't know if I'd ever have the courage to use it, but the box held documents, photos, recordings. This is everything I've gathered over the years. Tax evasion, bribes, fraudulent contracts. Michael isn't just a terrible husband, he's a criminal." Jessica looked at the man before her, kind, loyal, who'd kept evidence to protect her even without knowing if he'd ever get the chance. "Why did you do this?" "You know why." Yes, she did. And for the first time, she wasn't afraid of it. "Robert, no, you're vulnerable, processing so much. I won't be another man taking advantage." "What if I say it's not taking advantage?" "Then I'd say we should wait until..." "You're sure, until you're healed, until it's a choice, not a reaction." Jessica nodded. He was right, even if it hurt. "But that doesn't mean I'm leaving," she said. "We'll take Michael down, together." "Together," he agreed. They spent the rest of the day organizing evidence, making calls. Mr. Johnson nearly had a heart attack when he saw everything. "This isn't just a civil case anymore, it's criminal. We need the police." "Then we'll go to the police," Jessica said firmly. Amanda and Rachel agreed to meet. The four women, plus Robert and the lawyer, formed an unlikely but determined task force. "He underestimated us," Amanda said at the first meeting. "Thought we were weak, easy to manipulate." "We were," Rachel admitted, "but not anymore." The police investigation began quietly. Michael had no idea of the storm brewing. 2 weeks passed. Jessica settled into a new routine. Work. She'd returned to the job she'd almost quit under Michael's pressure. Meetings with the other women, occasional dinners with Robert, always as friends, always with unresolved tension in the air. "You seem happier," he observed. "One night over plates of Thai food. I discovered I like spicy food. Who knew? You've discovered much more than that." "Yes, I've discovered I'm strong. That I have a voice. That I deserve respect. Mint, you always did. You just needed to remember." Her phone rang. "Mr. Johnson." "Jessica, the police will act tomorrow. Be prepared." She hung up with trembling hands. "Tomorrow," she told Robert, "everything will be okay." "And if it's not?" "Or what if he has more power than we think? Then we keep fighting. You're not alone, remember?" She looked at the man in front of her, kind, patient, strong in the right way. "Robert, when all this is over..." "When all this is over..." He took her hand. "We'll talk about possibilities, but for today, just let me be here. You're too good a man. No, I'm not. I just know what I want. And I know how to wait." They slept little that night. Jessica in her bed thinking about the next day. Robert in his home, probably doing the same. At 7 in the morning, the operation began. Police at Michael's. Company, his new house, his accounts. Jessica watched from afar from the car with Robert by her side. "This is surreal," she murmured. "It's justice." Michael was arrested by noon. Images of him in handcuffs spread across the city. The untouchable playboy finally falling. Jessica's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends who'd disappeared now wanting to know if she was okay. Distant relatives offering support. Hypocrisy in its purest form. "Turn it off," Robert advised. "Today is for processing, not explaining." They went to his place. Opened wine, ordered pizza, watched silly movies. Normal except for the revolution happening outside. "You know what's strange?" Jessica said, her head dangerously close to his shoulder on the couch. "I don't feel anger anymore, just relief. That's a good sign. Anger holds you back as much as love. When did you get so wise? No, I had 5 years to think. He smiled sadly. Jessica sat up, facing him. I'm sorry. For everything. For the lost years, the waiting for... Hey, he interrupted. They weren't lost. I built my life, my business, became who I am. And if that brought me here, to this moment, it was worth it. You're impossible, she laughed, tears in her eyes. I prefer persistent. The kiss happened without planning, soft, hesitant, more a question than a statement. When they pulled apart, both were breathless. I'm sorry, Robert said. I know we promised to wait. Shut up. Jessica kissed him again. It was unlike anything she'd known. No games, no manipulation, no power. Just two broken people trying to fix each other. This changes everything, she said when they stopped. It doesn't have to change anything. We can take it slow. Slow, she agreed. But together? Together. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. Trial, media, legal decisions. Michael tried to negotiate, threaten, manipulate, but the evidence was overwhelming, the victims too united. 6 months later, he was convicted. 5 years in prison, loss of assets, reputation ruined. The women he destroyed watched the sentencing hand in hand. It's over, Amanda whispered. No, Jessica corrected. Now it begins. And she was right. Jennifer started her own business. Amanda went back to school. Rachel moved away to start fresh. Each moving forward, healed not by time, but by justice. Jessica and Robert took it slow, as promised. Dinners turned into breakfasts. Weekends turned into weeks. Love built brick by brick on a solid foundation. A year after the divorce, they were at the beach watching the sunset. We never got to travel, Robert remarked. Hawaii or the Grand Canyon. We have time. Jessica laced her fingers with his. All the time in the world. Jessica. Thank you. For what? For letting me be part of your new life. She kissed him in response. No words were needed. 2 years later, they married. A small ceremony, just family and true friends. Jessica wore blue, not white. Robert cried when she walked in. The vows were simple. I promise to always be honest. I promise to always support you. I promise our love will be a daily choice. I promise to be your safe harbor. Jennifer was the maid of honor. The other women attended, celebrating not just a wedding but a collective victory. At the reception, Mr. Johnson pulled Jessica aside. Michael wants to negotiate his sentence. He's willing to testify. Let him. It's no longer my problem. You've changed, Jessica, for the better. We all change. That's what trauma does. You survive or you grow. You grew. She looked at Robert, laughing with the mechanics from the shop. I had help. Life went on. Not perfect. Perfection is for fairy tales. But real, honest, built on truth, not lies. Jessica returned to school, finished the master's degree she'd abandoned. Robert expanded the shop, hired at-risk youth, giving them the second chance he'd gotten. 3 years after the wedding, on an ordinary morning. I'm pregnant. Robert dropped his coffee cup. What? Pregnant. Us. Baby. He spun her in the air, laughing and crying at once. Are you sure you're ready? After everything? I've never been more ready. Our child will grow up in real love. Or daughter. Or daughter, she agreed. It was a girl. Emma. Born on a spring morning, announcing her arrival to the world with a cry. She's perfect, Robert whispered, the tiny baby in his large arms. She'll be stubborn, Jessica predicted. Look at that determined face. I hope so. Strong women change the world. Michael heard about the birth in prison. Sent a card, an empty gesture from someone who'd lost everything. Jessica threw it away unread. Emma grew up surrounded by love, not just from her parents, but from the extended family that had formed. Jennifer, Amanda, and Rachel were her honorary aunts. Mr. Johnson, her honorary grandfather. At 5 years, old in kindergarten. My mom is the bravest in the world, Emma declared to her class. She defeated a bad man and saved lots of women. The teacher called, concerned. What kind of story was that? Jessica and Robert exchanged glances. It was time. Emma, Jessica began that night, Sometimes people we love hurt us. Like when Tyler pulled my hair. Worse, much worse, but you know what we do. What? We stand together, we ask for help, and we fight for what's right. Is that what you did? Yes, with your dad's help and so many friends. When I grow up, I want to be brave like you. Robert kissed his daughter's head. You already are. The years passed. Emma grew up strong, determined, kind. Jessica built a solid career. Robert turned the shop into a chain, always keeping their values. One ordinary Sunday, 15 years later. Mom, can I ask you something? Emma, now a teenager, too serious for her 15 years. Always. About my biological father, Michael. Jessica froze. They'd always known this day would come. What? Do you want to know? Everything, the truth, not the kid version. So Jessica told her. About the marriage, the lies, the manipulation. About the courage to leave, to fight. About finding real love with Robert. Did he ever want to meet me? Emma asked at the end. He lost that right when he chose the path he took. Robert is your father in every way that matters. I know, I just needed to understand. Do you? I understand that you're even more amazing than I thought. And that dad, she never called Robert anything else, is the most patient man in the world. We're all survivors, Emma, each in our own way. Can I meet the others, Jennifer, Amanda, Rachel? They'd love that. They've been your aunts in heart for years. The gathering happened a month later. 4 women, now in their 40s and 50s, sharing their stories with the next generation. The important thing, Amanda said, is recognizing the signs. Manipulation starts small. And never being afraid to ask for help, Rachel added. Good men exist. Jennifer looked at Robert. You just need to know how to spot them. Emma absorbed it all, wise beyond her years, strong beyond measure. Thank you, she finally said, for being brave, for surviving, for showing the way. The women cried, the circle closing, pain turning into purpose. That night, Jessica and Robert on their home terrace. Did we do the right thing? Telling her everything, she had a right to know, and it'll make her stronger. Sometimes I'm afraid that I passed on my trauma. You passed on strength, resilience, courage. The rest is her choice. When did you get so wise? 20 years ago, when I decided to wait for you. Jessica rested her head on his shoulder. 20 years since that day in the garage. Ati, whole lifetime, the right life. Was it worth it? The wait? Every second. Even the hard ones, especially the hard ones. They're what brought us here. Emma appeared at the door. You two are so sappy. Your problem. Robert pulled her into a hug. We're happy. I know. She hugged them both. That's why I love you. Night fell over Portland. Somewhere, Michael served his sentence, forgotten. The women he'd hurt lived full lives, and in a simple home, an unlikely but perfect family watched the stars. Still want to see Hawaii? Robert asked suddenly. Why? July vacation. The 3 of us, what do you say? Jessica and Emma exchanged glances. Grand Canyon first, they said in unison. Robert laughed. You two will be the death of me. Probably. Jessica kissed him. But what a sweet death. And so, under stars that once seemed too distant, 3 survivors celebrated life. Not the one they'd planned, but the one they'd built. Brick by brick. Truth by truth. Love by love. In the end, Michael had been wrong about everything. Jessica wasn't. Cold, she was cautious. Not calculating, just smart. Not incapable of love, she just needed someone who deserved it. And Robert? Robert had always known. That's why he waited, that's why he fought, that's why he won. True love isn't about possession, it's about setting free. And that night, they were all free. Jessica picked up her phone, opened the messenger group survivors as typed, Girls, how about a barbecue Sunday? 20 years deserves celebration. Replies came fast. Jennifer. I'll bring dessert. Amanda. Margaritas on me. Rachel. Can Emma bring her boyfriend? Jessica showed Robert the message. Boyfriend? News to me too. We'll have to talk to her. We? You mean you? I'm going to the garage. Coward. Realist, I know my limits. They laughed together. After everything, they still knew how. Maybe especially because of everything. Sunday arrived sunny, the house filled with voices, laughter, life. Jennifer brought her husband. She'd met him 5 years after Michael, a good man who treated her like a queen. Amanda came with her wife, their solid decade-long relationship. Rachel with her adopted twins, loved beyond measure. "Look at us," Amanda said, raising her glass. "Who would have thought?" "Survivors," Jessica toasted. "No," Jennifer corrected. "Winners." "Winners," they all agreed. Emma watched from afar with her boyfriend. A shy kid, Robert was already subtly interrogating. "Your family's intense," the boy remarked. "They're survivors," Emma said proudly. "All of them, it's what we do. We survive, we grow, we love. Your mom especially. They're all my moms in a way. Raised me together, taught me to be strong." They succeeded. Emma smiled. At 16, she already knew who she was. Jessica and Robert's daughter. An honest mechanic's granddaughter. Warrior women's niece. Heir to a story of pain turned into power. "Come on," she tugged her boyfriend. "I'll introduce you properly. But fair warning, they'll grill you." "All of them?" "All of them, that's what family does, protects." The barbecue lasted late into the night. Stories were told, memories shared. Not the painful ones. Those had already served their purpose. The good ones, the ones built afterward. When everyone had left, Jessica and Robert cleaned the kitchen together. Great party. The best. You know what I realized? "What?" "I didn't think about Michael once today. Not once." Robert stopped washing dishes and turned to her. "Really? Really, he just doesn't matter anymore. It's processed, overcome. Jessica, that's liberating. It's liberating." He hugged her, ignoring their wet hands. "I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us." Emma walked into the kitchen. "You two need to stop with these scenes. You're traumatizing the kids." "Great." Robert hugged her too. "Kids traumatized by too much love. Worst thing in the world." "You're impossible." But Emma laughed. "We're your family," Jessica corrected. "Perfect in our imperfection." Later, alone in the office, Jessica pulled an old box from the closet. Photos from her wedding to Michael. She kept them for some reason she didn't even understand. One by one, she tore them up. Not in anger that had died long ago, with purpose. The final act of a drama that no longer deserved space in her life. At the bottom of the box, she found her diary from that time. She flipped through it quickly. Words of a lost woman trying to understand where she'd gone wrong, wanting to fix the unfixable. "Dear past Jessica," she thought. "You didn't fail. You were a victim. But look at you now. Heroine of your own story." She threw it all away. The past, buried for good. "Everything okay?" Robert stood in the doorway. "Perfect. Just doing some final cleaning." "Need help?" "No. This was something I needed to do alone." He understood. He always did. That night, lying together. "Robert? Thank you for everything, for waiting, for your patience, for your love." "Jessica, let me finish. I know I always say this, but I need you to know. You saved me, not as a knight in shining armor, as a friend, a partner, an equal. You showed me that true love exists. You saved yourself. I just held your hand. And what a wonderful hand it is. Now who's being mushy? 20 years of earned rights." They laughed softly, careful not to wake Emma. "I love you," Jessica said. Words that had once been a weapon were now a shield. "I love you too. Always have. Always will." They fell asleep in each other's arms. Two survivors who found in each other not salvation, but partnership. Not perfection, but acceptance. Not a happy ending, but real life. Outside, Portland slept. Somewhere, 4 women also slept peacefully, healed by time and justice. A teenager dreamed of a bright future, a solid foundation beneath her feet, and, in an auto shop, old photos still decorated the wall. Father and son with the Blue Beetle. a legacy of honesty that survived lies, waited through years, triumphed through love. Life, Jessica had learned, wasn't about avoiding wounds. It was about choosing who deserved to be by your side as they healed. Robert had chosen her. She had chosen him. Emma had chosen them both. In the end, Michael had done her an accidental favor. By trying to destroy her, he'd set her free. By trying to isolate her, he'd united her with others. By trying to diminish her, he'd made her discover her own strength. Every choice matters. Jessica thought before sleep took her. I chose to survive. I chose to fight. I chose to love again. I chose right. And in her dreams there were no nightmares. Only Hawaii waiting, the Grand Canyon calling, a whole life ahead. Free, whole, loved. Jessica. End of story. Dear listener, tell us what you think about this story of overcoming and true love. Do you think Jessica made the right decisions? We'd love to read your comments. Thank you so much for joining us. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories. Until next time.